boys and girls. I'm Nana Rose. Today's story is called Jackal's Flying Lesson. This is by Verna Ardema and illustrated by Dale Gottlieb. Jackal's Flying Lesson. And I'm going to take off the jacket cover because it's going to get in my way while I'm reading. So you get those same wiggly lines, but not the picture. Huh. What does that make you think of? I suppose it depends on where you grew up or where you live, what you think of. Let me look at that. Jackal's Flying Lesson, a koi tale. To my son, Dr. Austin Ardema, who flies a Cessna 172, VA. For Eric Johnson and Greg Mraz, DG. It was springtime in South Africa. The Gwenye plum trees were in bloom, and high up in one of them lived a mother dove and her 2 fat babies. One day, the dove sat on the edge of her nest, with her wings spread out to shade her children. She was singing in a sleepy voice. Coo-ee-oo, coo-ee-oo, mother is making a shadow for you. Aardvark and lizard are sleeping too. Coo-ee-oo, coo-ee-oo. A jackal heard the dove's cooing. He called, "Huff, dove, what is the meaning of your sweet song?" "Jackal," replied the dove, "it is a lullaby. I sing to put my babies to sleep. I don't want them to beg for food in the heat of the day." The jackal ran around the tree to see if anyone was looking. Then he asked as quietly as he could, "How many children have you?" Two, said the dove. "Throw one of them down," whispered the jackal. "Then you'll only have one to feed." "Oh, no," cried the dove. "Both of my babies are dear to me." And she settled herself upon the nest, wrapping her wings around the little ones to protect them. You see the little wings? And there's Jackal down at the bottom of the tree. Jackal asked, "How could such a gentle one as you let me starve?" "Go away, Jackal," scolded the dove. "You are frightening my babies with your talk." The jackal sprang up in rage. He barked, "How! How! Throw down one child, or I will climb up the tree and eat them both." The dove was terrified. She forgot that jackals cannot climb trees, and to save one of her babies, she threw the other one down. Jackal caught the little creature in midair and thwack! He swallowed it whole. "Woo, woo, woo," cried the dove. "My poor baby, woo, woo, woo." Again, the jackal ran around the tree to see if anyone was looking. Then he scrabbled a little way up its trunk. "Har, har, har! Grrr," he growled. "Throw down the other baby, or I will climb up there and eat it and you and the nest of sticks too." The dove was so frightened. She threw the other baby to him, and delack! That one went down his throat. Then, smacking his lips, mick, 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 he went on his way. The mother dove looked into her empty nest and moaned, "Woo, woo, woo. What have I done? How can I live without my babies? Woo, woo, woo. A blue crane who lived nearby heard the dove's mournful cry. She went to the guenille tree and asked, "My friend, why are you so sad?" The dove told the crane all that had happened. The crane tipped her head sideways, one eye looking up at the dove, and said, "Your babies were safe in the nest. Who told you that jackals can climb trees?" "He started to do it," said the dove. "He made it halfway up the tree trunk. I didn't think he'd stop there." "He tricked you," said the crane. "Well, now it's our turn to trick him." She lifted her wings a little and put them down, as cranes do when they're thinking. And she hatched a plan on the spot. "Jackal made you believe he could climb a tree," she said. "I'll make him believe that he can learn to fly." With that, the crane went off after him. The crane found the jackal on a path near his den. He was running fast. His fur was wet with sweat, and he was panting. "Slow down, Jackal," cried the crane. "You will run yourself to death one of these days." "Haven't you noticed?" said the jackal. "A storm is coming. I want to get home before it breaks." "Alas, you who run along the ground are to be pitied," said the crane slyly. "To us who fly, long distances are nothing." "To be able to fly would be an advantage," conceded the jackal. "Why don't you meet me here when the storm is over?" said the big bird. "I'll teach you to fly." Jackal promised to return, and as soon as the storm passed, he did. The crane was waiting for him. She said, "If you really want to learn to fly, you must do everything I tell you." "Of course," said the jackal. "Get on with it." "Do you see that mimosa tree with the gum dripping from it? Go there and rub gum all over yourself." "How can that help me to fly?" asked Jackal. "Just do it," commanded the crane. So the jackal did, and he came back muttering, "This learning to fly is not pleasant. My hair sticks together in a most uncomfortable way." The blue crane said nothing, but she began plucking feathers from herself and sticking them into the jackal's gummy coat. She worked until he was completely coated in feathers. Then she pulled a long one from her tail and stuck it on the end of his tail. Jackal was delighted. He looked at himself proudly and marked, "Quoo-woo, I am a bird." He ran a little way on his hind legs, flapping his front paws, but he could not get off the ground. "What trick is this?" he demanded. "You make me into a bird that cannot fly." "You have to take off into the wind," said the crane. "Turn around and run the other way." Jackal did that. He ran a little faster, but still, he could not get airborne. Blue Crane laughed. "I teach you to fly, she said, as I teach my children. The jackal yawned nervously. What do you mean? He whimpered. Get on my back, said Blue Crane. I will fly way up into the air. When we're high enough, I will give the word, and you must jump off and fly. Jackal looked up at the sky. Then he looked down at the ground. You aren't afraid, are you? Asked the crane. No, said the jackal. I was just measuring the height of the sky. With great care, he climbed upon the big bird's back and clung to her neck. When he was firmly settled, the crane ran, flapping her wings faster and faster, cack, 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 and finally she rose into the air. She flew so high that the women cutting dried maize stalks in the field below looked like ants. Turning to the jackal, she cried, Get ready! Jump! At the same moment, she pulled herself out from under him. Suddenly, the jackal was plummeting toward the earth, loosened feathers trailing behind him. He forgot to flap and put all his energy into one long ow! The women in the field dropped their knives and ran. Jackal fell into a pile of maize stalks with such a jolt that the two baby doves popped out. Quitcha! Quitcha! Right out of his mouth. They were wet, but they were alive. When the blue crane circled back, she saw the little doves lying helplessly near the jackal's open mouth. She picked them up and carried them home to the nest in the guenye tree. The mother dove was overjoyed to have her babies back safe and sound. She thanked the crane again and again. Then she wrapped her wings gently around her little ones, and as they snuggled closer, she sang, Coo-ee-oo, coo-ee-oo, Mother is cooing a song that is new. Never again will she let the jackal get you. Coo-ee-oo, coo-ee-oo. As soon as the jackal came to his senses, he dragged himself to the river and began to clean the sticky mess off his body. He was still scrubbing when other animals came to drink. How they laughed at the ridiculously feathered beast. While they laughed, the embarrassed jackal resolved never to get involved with blue cranes or baby birds and their mothers again. And the blue crane wisely observed, It is a true saying, whoever sows evil will see it come forth in his own garden. And then in the back, there's a glossary and a guide to pronunciation. Jackal is a smaller African relative of the wolf. Khoikhoi literally means men of men, a nomadic tribe of cattle herders that inhabits the grasslands of southwestern Africa. Guenye, also called kaffir plum, a wild tree that has rough bark, red leaves, and red plum-like fruit. Aardvark, literally meaning earth pig, a large nocturnal burrowing mammal of Africa that feeds on ants and termites. Dilak, an idiophone, that's a word that sounds like it's what it means. An idiophone that represents the sound made by catching an object in the open mouth and swallowing it. Blue crane, a large bluish-gray wading bird with long legs and a long neck, also called a great blue heron. Mimosa, a tropical tree that has feather-like leaves. Some species exude sticky sap. Quo-woo, an exclamation. Maize, another word for corn. Quacha, an ideophone that represents the sound made by coughing up an object. There you go. And that is Jackal's Flying Lesson by Verna Ardema, illustrated by Dale Gottlieb. So, many stories about jackals and coyotes, they're trickster characters, and they trick someone. In this case, he tricks the dove. But oftentimes they get their own, which means that someone tricks them back. And in this case, Blue Crane tricks him on behalf of the dove. So trickster characters trick, but they're also often tricked. So the last line of one who sows evil will have it return back to his garden. So if you do something evil, it's going to come back and grow in your own garden, just meaning that it's going to come back to you. So whatever you do today, be kind to someone. Don't trick them. Whatever you do today, have fun.